Hello everyone, Darren here, and today's episode is going to be explaining the barrage mechanics. I do feel upon release of the equalizer, and I do feel that the PR on the this new mechanic was handled poorly, at least from a marketing point of view. That was absolutely a really bad idea. But beside the point, this video is to hopefully explain and clarify the mechanic for you, and then you can make your own judgment call as to whether or not you still think it's a big problem or not. A lot of the CCs honestly believe that this could be the foot in the door that Wargaming console branch needs to stick their foot in, and so over for our potential arty rebalance, like some of us have said, arty's clearly not going anywhere with the obvious release of this premium. So might as well just try and find some silver lining to this. I don't. It's not as bad as what everyone was freaking it out to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the difference between the barrage mechanic and the single shot, and then we're going to look at the pros and cons of the barrage mechanic, and then you can make your own decision after we look at some gameplay, so that way you can get an opportunity to see its effect, and from the artillery player's point of view. And if you haven't been able to get on the game recently or haven't experienced it yourself, hopefully you get an idea. So starting off here by comparing the barrage mechanic to the single shot mechanic that this SPG has, or just compared overall, is that the barrage mechanic acts essentially like a barrage. The fires multiple shots very quickly, so the equalizer fires 4 shots with 1 reload. It is not an autoloader, it just fires 4 shots in rapid succession with 1 reload. With these 4 shots, you get a wider radius, but each individual shot does less damage than a single shot in the single shot mechanic. And then it's also less accurate, hence why you have a wider radius. I played the vehicle for 2 hours straight, nothing but the barrage mechanic, and only one time out of like 12 battles, with each battle firing of like 36 to 40 shots a game, only one time did I actually have all 4 shots connect on one tank and kill it outright with 1 salvo. Beyond that, it was wildly inaccurate. You could only see like maybe tracers of 2 of your shots, but other than that, you wouldn't know where the other 2 went. So it is less accurate than a single shot mechanic. Now the single shot mechanic, we all know how the single shot mechanic works. You get 1 shot, you have like a smaller radius, but you have greater damage per shot. We all know how it is. We've all been slapped in the face from orbit. So there's no need to farther explain that. Now, looking at the pros and cons of the barrage mechanic. So starting with the pros, obviously you have a greater radius, so in very tight quarters you have a greater opportunity to hit more targets of opportunity, provided the rounds go generally where you're aiming them. You get multiple shots per reload, per salvo. You have the ability to affect numerous tanks with 1 salvo. Throughout the entire stream, there'd be times where there's like a couple tanks close together, and while I would not do a whole lot of damage, like raw damage by myself, I would actually track multiple tanks, and I would just rake in the track assist and assisted damage. And I judge my performance based on the marks of excellence criteria of like the raw damage plus assisted damage. So I judge my performance based on combined damage overall. So me going in there and having an average game of anywhere from like 1,500 to like 3,000 damage combined with that tank, to me I'll walk away happy with that. I'll accept that. The I put a question mark here as more supportive because it would depend on your what you consider a supporting role. I would consider this mechanic to be more supporting because you have the ability to affect multiple enemies with one salvo. You know what? There's only like what yeah, I can't really come up with anything else on that. I'm not going to consider autoloaders in this because that's a completely different mechanic. So, it'd be up to you to decide whether or not it's more supportive, but if they were to implement this full time, there's a bunch of opportunities to kind of entice people to play it more supportively. I don't know. I'm not a dev, but this is the biggest pro I think for at least those on the receiving end. I've been on the receiving end a little bit regarding these tanks, but I found it to be more tolerable to be hit with paper cut damage rolls by these rounds than getting slapped in the face from orbit with a super cannon. If I will be linking my stream, the video from the stream, the replay stream on demand thing in the this video, and you can take a look yourself. But it was like my average damage rolls were like in the single digits to like the mid to low 100s, and then my high rolls, which were like maybe once every 2 or 3 salvos, would be in the 300s. And this against tier 10 tanks, tier 8 tanks, that's not a really big detriment to them, to you as a person being obviously targeted or hit by those things. And other than that, it's like I would honestly trade getting paper cuts of damage than I would getting again slapped in the face from orbit. Of course, that's not everyone thinks the same there. But I can see the argument of, well, what if there's a platoon of these things? Yeah, I could see the potential for it being a problem, but in the case of the scenario, if there's only one of these things in each game, let's just assume that for right now, that there's only one of these or something like that in each game, that I would definitely consider this to be much more tolerable. Um, Now the cons. These cons are for pretty much the artillery players that would be playing the thing. The cons is that you almost would never one shot any tanks, unless it's like a tier 6 and you get lucky and hit them with 2 shots out of your salvo. If you consider each salvo to be one shot and you land 2 of them, you could consider that to be a one shot if that's your way of thinking. It is the barrage mechanic, like I said, is inaccurate. So again, don't be magically doing sniping shot. You're not going to be sniping things. And then there is less damage per individual shot than the single shot mechanic. But other than that, it's not as OP as people think. It really isn't. It's not worth freaking out about it. I say just watch the replay, make your judgment call, and it's already in the game. They're not going to pull it, so just watch and see, how it performs in the game, and you yourself, after dealing with it for a week or so, will probably, completely forget about it. I mean, who knows? This is a new mechanic. I'm all for wargaming trying new things, but again, like I said, I do think it was handled PR wise pretty poorly. But I do think this could be a potential in the right direction. But let's take a look at this replay.
Okay, so here we are on Northwest. It is a standard battle, and I'm starting in the southwestern spawn. Now, again, yes, this was pulled from my Twitch stream, hence the logo and the no audio, but those shouldn't really hinder you witnessing the mechanic from the other point of view if you have not bought it. But I'm loading in. At this time, I was kind of debating where to go. I kind of go to a spot that I've seen Arty go to. Was it the right place? I don't know. Probably could be wrong. I was having some frame rate drop during this, though. I won't lie. It was kind of a little bit frame rate droppy during this stream. But I'm going to where I see people go. And wow, looking back at it right now, it's this replay is really showcasing how laggy that was. Interesting. So anyway, right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look for an opportunity to counter battery, just because I kind of know that would probably save me from getting counter batteried and increase my chances of winning. So that's what I'm doing right now for a little bit. Nothing else really to explain on this part yet. But I do see on the mini-map that a heavy tank gets spotted. I'm in a tier 10 game. I see the E100, and because that the equalizer fires literally nothing but HE, and the premium HE only has a higher pen, which is still practically useless against tier 10 heavy tanks. So, you know, I couldn't really do anything to that E100, so I decided to just let him go and look for something more squishy and targetable. I look at the mini-map, I see that there's more down south, and I saw that the charioteer got tracked, so I'm letting the team know I'm going to aim there, but yes, I do have quite a long reload because of how I want to try and tighten the splash, and I miss. Now you see the grouping on that shot was a little close, but I didn't do any damage to the enemy right there. So I'm like, I noticed on the minimap there was a TD camping, and I wanted to go and investigate what it was. Upon seeing that it was a grill, I saw an opportunity, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting to try and see if I can land some shots. I try and pre-fire. As you can see, I only do 88. Two of my shots pen the tank. One does 88 damage, the other does 81 damage. So 2 out of 4 shots hit the tank. Not much damage there, especially for a weakly armored tank. I apologize for my dog again. But here, giving up on that because he was unspotted and there's no one else to spot him, I focus down south because I kind of see that the pressure is being applied by the enemy team down here. So I drop another barrage, and I actually tried to lead it. You can be moving this reticle, and the rounds will kind of follow where you go. And I'm trying to save this 7-1, but I already fired my salvo. I accepted he was going to die, and I felt a little bit bad that I wasn't going to be able to help him on that, but there's nothing I could do. So right now I'm waiting for the Conquer. I try and pre-fire. Two of my shots actually does damage. I don't know exactly how much damage they did. I think one of them, I couldn't quite see how much I did, because for a very brief moment the Conqueror was unspotted. Now, the 215B, you're going to see here that I'm going to be kind of focusing on the 215B and the Conqueror here, and you're going to see that I get 68 damage on that one, 57 on that one, 498 because I caught him on fire, and or someone else caught him on fire, thus the number looked bigger, and I got track assist damage there. Now you see that there's still 2 more tanks right there. They're still close together. I want to see if I can track them or at least kill the Conqueror while doing some form of damage to the 60 TP. Again, I try that little leading or adjusting fire while the salvo's going. I only do a little bit of damage there, but you can see that most of my damage is through the assistance damage there. I have more assisted damage than I do actual raw damage. So right now, I'm trying to get that Conqueror out of the way, out of the game. He's low health. I should be able to splash him and do some form of damage. But then, looking at how much health the 60 TP had, I decided that instead, I'm going to just try and go for more damage, see if I could get more track assist. I didn't think it was really worth my 4-shot salvo on a tank for, only doing 18 damage. But again, I wasn't really missing much with my previous rounds to begin with. Enemy gets taken out by a teammate here, and as you can see right now, I am almost at 3k damage combined, and you can just see the salvos that I'm putting out is I'm not getting very many high rolls. I'm getting more assisted damage than I actually am doing raw damage. And like I said, most of my rounds are in like the single digits to the mid to low 100s here, with the occasional high roll. But and then I finish it off with just a salvo, and luckily one of the rounds actually hits and takes out the enemy artillery piece. That was just one of 2 instances to where I got incredibly lucky out of like the 12, 15 games, and each game I was firing like maybe 36 to 40 rounds a game. And that could equate to, 8 to 10 salvos right there. So it's not, I personally, I really don't think it's as OP as people think, but you make the judgment call on this. But you can see I do well over 3k combined damage, and to me, I will happily walk away from that. And that concludes today's video on the Barrage Mechanics. I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this has been Darren of WotC Academy.